Many moons ago, comics was seen as a pastime solely for children. And what else did kids love? Comic books! So, of course, Nintendo and Sega were happy to publish all manner of games based on various crime fighters. The X-Men, Captain America, Superman, and Batman. Of course, in recent times not much has changed, except it's only the most popular characters that get games. Spider-Man and Batman are the main ones, as they are Marvel and DC favourites. And given TT Games' reluctance to make a LEGO DC superheroes game, instead of sticking it as a subtitle to the LEGO Batman series, which is perhaps the only character Warner Brothers think the public recognises. There are loads of Walking Dead titles, but let's focus on the superheroes. If you check out the Wikipedia list of games based on DC properties, there's only 13 games since the 1980s that didn't have either Batman or Superman in them. On the Marvel list, we lost count at 30 when not including any game featuring Spider-Man or the X-Men. We even discounted the Men in Black games, in which there is a surprising number of. Despite Activision desperately remastering the Marvel properties they still have, and Warner Brothers being unwilling to publish anything that doesn't have Batman in it, we're still going to list the comic book characters that need to be represented in video games. The Flash. Forensic scientist Barry Allen was hit by lightning and doused in chemicals, turning him into the fastest man alive. It may be a bit of a cheat, as he's had 2 video games of his own, and given the popularity of the TV show, it's surprising that they haven't cashed in, given the 2 seasons so far having garnered more views on an average than any 5 seasons of Arrow, the show that gave birth to it. A video game with the Flash in it needs to happen. It would have to be open world, along the lines of the amazing Spider-Man titles from a few years ago, whilst travelling around Central City stopping crimes in progress. There could even be parts where you need to assume the role of forensic officer Barry Allen to aid with the investigating crimes. There is footage of a cancelled Flash title from Brash Games around the internet, so we can hope that someone else will pick it up someday. Booster Gold. Former athlete Michael Carter travelled back in time to make his fortune using future tech to be a superhero. This would be an easy storyline to work with. Given the nebulous nature of games, there's no actual continuity that they have to follow. The game would revolve around Booster needing to protect the time stream. From his base in the present, he monitors time and stops evil time travelers. He wears a suit that has a force field and lasers, and a ring that allows him to fly. So, it's basically a Superman game without the invulnerability. It's the only way we could ever experience such great comic book moments as that time that Superman and Power Girl fought an Allosaurus with Gatling gun arms. Anyway, there's a movie in the works, so someone should get on this. Supergirl. The cousin of Superman also escaped the destruction of Krypton, but reached Earth about 2 decades later. Yeah, another cheat. Last one, we swear. Due to the fact that it has a well-received TV show, Kara Zor-El would be a much interesting character to play as. Because of the number of reboots she's been through, she doesn't actually have any supporting characters, and you could design pretty much anything around her. The tutorial would feature Superman showing Kara how to use her powers, and the villains throughout would be the same ones that Superman fights. Again, she doesn't really have her own. To limit her invulnerability, the story could include the city being shrunk and trapped in an opaque bottle by Brainiac. No sun would mean no superpowers. Nick Fury. An agent of the Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division, S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick is a super spy who protects the world, primarily America, from terrorist threats. He's actually the son of Nicholas Fury, the former chief of S.H.I.E.L.D., but his father's missing and presumed dead, and running S.H.I.E.L.D. wouldn't be as interesting. Originally modelled on Samuel Jackson, and eventually played by him in the Marvel movies, the game would involve infiltrating the evil bases of Advanced Idea Mechanics, AIM, to put a stop to whatever their plan. You'd have gadgets, guns, and stealth along the lines of the original Metal Gear Solid, and several of the Avengers can even make a cameo. Misty Knight. A former police officer who lost her arm in a bomb explosion. Misty Knight had it replaced with a bionic arm from Tony Stark before starting her own private investigation firm. As Misty has no powers, though her arm does have some weapons installed in it, the game would rely on you solving crimes for people who come to you for help, though you could still beat up criminals. Think a less car-stealing LA Noire, though stealing cars in the pursuit of justice is alright, right? Nova. Richard Rider became Nova when the Nova Corps was wiped out, and he was chosen to inherit the power. Basically a space cop. Okay, that's where the resemblance to Green Lantern ends. He can fly and use the Nova Force to fire concussive blasts and gravimetric beams. The recent version of Nova is a teenager, as Rider died saving the universe. But we're not keen on that character, so we would hope for the original. The game would have to be set in space, as Nova always blossoms when not stuck on Earth. So perhaps the storyline would revolve around the needing to stop the Kree and Skrulls from going to war. There are plenty of other comic book characters that should have a game, many of which have never even appeared in a cartoon, although that used to be the case with Deadpool, and look how that turned out. There are also comic companies, other than Marvel and DC, that have game-worthy characters, as seen with the games based on the aforementioned The Walking Dead and Spawn. It's just weird that only mobile developers seem interested in developing superheroes.